Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of our blister repair series. That's right, the good ship Parlay has been hit with a bad case of osmosis.
We've got blisters everywhere.
And you saw us have a tough time last week trying to troubleshoot the process to try to find out the extent of the damage.
It's almost like the fiberglass didn't get laid up properly.
But as I've always done in life, if I'm not 100% sure about something, I try to speak to someone who knows a lot more than me about it. And this week, that's Andy Miller from Boatworks Today.
When you look at your blisters, it's not so much the diameter, it's how deep that they're running.
We have left our on-camera conversation quite long for you guys because I just think there is so much valuable information in there for any potential boat owner. But first, we were dying to see the state of our diesel bug situation, which meant cutting the tank open, but not before making sure we were able to get it closed again.
Okay, so we got Frederick in here. He's a Kiwi, does some metal fabrication work around here. He's going to give us his opinion on this tank. We need to get in there and sort out the diesel bug. And the tank's slightly curved. He's already found a bit of alley plate that we can use. So we'll have to mark up where this bad boy's going to go.
So unbelievably, the tank was built with no inspection hatch, and we need to get in there to clean it out, hence the dilemma we're in. Diesel bug is a microorganism that lives inside the fuel, which has formed a thick black sludge at the bottom of the tank, so we really need to get in there.
What if we put it right in the center here?
Yeah, you can.
Maybe we'll knock it back there.
Yeah.
We'll take this off again and just have a look if there's no baffles or anything.
Yeah, well, usually you can tell if there's a baffle. Yeah, the baffles are running this way. But that's not an issue, just you probably break a blade with the jigsaw when you hit it. But you can probably use your 4-inch grinder, you know, just to go through that bit there.
And can we get some proper like nitrile rubber gasket material?
Yeah, yeah, you can get that here.
Yeah. Yeah, like something like from there
Yeah,
to there.
yeah. Then you can get in there and
then
not
we'll
far
maybe
away.
like cut this here or something.
Just mark that then, so I know where to cut.
We'll just go straight here.
Okay.
Cool.
So that was our port tank, and we have never seen any evidence of diesel bug on our starboard tank until...
I think we've definitely got diesel bug in starboard engine. I don't even know how the engine's still running. The bowl's full.
Which is alright because we were gonna... No, it's not alright because that means all that fuel's got to go in the bin. We've got half a tank worth of fuel in there. The bowl was crystal clear when we left the Talos Islands. So we were like, cool, we don't have diesel bug in that tank. So we filled it up. And now Jamie was just down there and found the bowl full of bug. So we were going to cut an inspection hatch in that tank anyway. So I guess we got to dispose of a few hundred litres of fuel. Azim down below from Yacht Supply Malaysia, he's doing a really good job at grinding all the blisters back. But I had the moisture meter on it this morning, and it went down beside the underwater light, and it went through the roof on the reading. So Jamie just climbed down and opened up the inspection hatch that we installed. Luckily we did install that. We did on this side as well so that we can see what's happening inside that sugar scoop, and it's full of water. It's right down behind the existing transom and just a little hatch there. So we're going to get that water out, but find out where the water's coming in. Probably from the swim ladder. It's all happening, shipyard life. It's good that we're discovering all this stuff now. I've also got a call scheduled with Andy Miller, who has the YouTube channel Boatworks Today. He is the fiberglass and gel coat guru, which I basically learned how to fiberglass through his videos. It was really cool. We got to meet him in Newport, and I got to thank him for all of the education that he gave me. It turns out he watches our videos as well, and it was just this really cool moment of mutual respect. We're going to video call him and see what his opinion is about these blisters, but just on the few messages we've exchanged, we're doing the right thing so far. He just wants to see the fiberglass, so we're going to send him in there with a video. A lot going on.
Which one's leaking?
This one here, forward.
Is there anywhere else that water can get in?
No, and if there was, it would be a big problem. I can actually see it there now, where it's been dripping. Better than finding water and not knowing where it's coming from. So I guess I'm just going to dry that out and then we'll have to rebed the ladder and fingers crossed we fix the problem.
So that high moisture meter reading next to the underwater light was right below the pool of water in our sugar scoop. So hopefully that explains the high reading from the outside, but only time will tell.
Okay guys, so the ladder's all rebedded, everything. We're just going to leave the inspection holes open for tonight, just to let it air out a little bit. So now I'm going to check this bad boy. It's full, so just going to take the bowl off, clean it out, and have a little bit more of an inspection.
We have added 1.5 feet to the boat with these extensions, and you can flick back to our 2021 refit in Panama to see how we did them, because they are an absolute game changer for all of the water sports we do.
Okay. Oh. Wowee.
It's not too bad.
It's actually, why is it that colour?
It's dirty water.
So there's definitely some diesel bug in there, but the majority of that bowl was actually water, which shows how incredible these Raycor water separators really are. If that water had gotten to our injectors, we would have had an even bigger problem than our diesel bug on our hands. So what would you guys do with the $500 worth of fuel? Put biocide in it and hope for the best, or throw it out?
We got a delivery. 5mm drill for 6mm thread. Good old Fred Rack. He's got to put a bit of a bend in it. We'll go check it now. Do you think that's going to be enough screws to hold it? I think so.
Some of those are for our heads, aren't they?
Lots more than that.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a nice fit. So we have just reached 400,000 subscribers, which is quite ironic because so many people say our work episodes are the best, and as soon as we start working, we go over that 400,000 mark. I set a goal earlier in the year to try reach 400,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we missed it by like 10 days. But so appreciative of all of you guys tuning in. It's mind-blowing how you guys just seem to tune in every week and watch our lives, and it encourages us to keep doing better videos and keep sharing all of this stuff. There's going to be some learning moments for you guys and us over the next few weeks, months, however long we get stuck here. But in tune with trying to do better and more interesting things, this week we are going to open that fuel tank up live to our Patreons. And the idea with that is to sort of make you guys feel like you're in the cabin working with us. So we're literally going to cut it open. None of us know what we're going to find inside there. So it's going to be really interesting. So if you are a Patreon, check your emails, but we're going to be doing that Wednesday night Eastern time. But it'll be in the email. But don't worry if you don't want to become a patron. We're going to upload that to the public next weekend, same time as our regular uploads. But as a side note, you can become a patron for as little as $5 a month, and you can join that live where you can comment, and we'll have a special guest managing the messages that are coming through so we can respond to those live. But again, it is going to go up on YouTube for everyone to see. So thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. I've set another goal now to try reach 500,000 subscribers by mid-year this year. So we're gonna have to pull something out of the bag to make that happen. But thank you for watching. 400,000 subscribers.
So guys, I'm working in the bathrooms. I've just been siliconing them up, but I've cut the silicone out of the port side and noticed that the two showers are actually joined at the base of it, but if any water gets through that silicone, it just goes and sits under the actual divider, or the piece of wood that the wall is, and we might have to drill a couple of holes under it to release the water.
So the way these boats and many other production boats are built is that the hulls are glassed, and then the cabins and bathrooms are just glued down into it before the deck goes on. And the wall that was full of water with nowhere to drain is directly above this frame, so we couldn't drill up into it to drain the water.
Up there as well, so I'm not sure what we're gonna do.
Okay, we're gonna give our friend Andy a call. He's been fiberglassing and doing gel coat work and all of that for like 25 years. He's dealt with blisters more times than he probably remembers. So we'll get his opinion on what to do here. Andy Miller.
What's up, Jamie?
How are ya?
I miss you guys.
Without taking too much of your time, I got a few samples here that we've just sort of started investigating. Some of them are just really small, maybe the size of like a grain of rice. Maybe like the biggest one's like 8 millimeters in diameter. I've got a patch on the bow here, open up a little bit. The blisters were back to here, but there weren't any blisters here. So you can see the difference in the quality of the fiberglass. This is really just really good looking glass, and this is kind of like dry looking almost. There's a concerning area which is basically a strip along the entire bottom side of the hull, basically from bow to stern, so where the boat's deepest in the water, and the fiberglass doesn't look very good there at all. So I think we're gonna have to knock back a couple of layers of glass and throw some new stuff over it. Using epoxy. So this is all polyester, this boat.
How familiar are you with like the resin infusion process and all that stuff?
I'm fairly familiar, yeah, mainly from watching your videos, but
Okay.
yeah.
There's a lot of things that can easily go sideways on them. I mean, like easily.
When they're manufacturing the boat.
Yeah. So so they go ahead, they get all the material down, they get the breather fabric, the resin lines. Then they put on the vacuum bagging, and then they try and pull a vacuum to see if they have, where they're testing for leaks and stuff. Once they kind of are able to kind of maintain a certain pressure or vacuum within the bag, then they open up the spigot and they start letting the resin flow in. Now, when they're doing this, they're mixing in like 55-gallon drums. Imagine trying to catalyze, evenly catalyze 55-gallon drums of resin.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing to do. And once they add that in, that clock is ticking. So, they're trying to get this stuff mixed as quickly as they can and then run through the lines. You'll dump a 55-gallon drum in probably just a few minutes.
Right.
But you got to have all that resin evenly catalyzed.
And because it's in behind the gel coat and everything, there's no way to check it once it's gone in, right?
Once they open the valve, it's not to be rude, it's shit or get off the pot. There is no stopping. And they'll have different drums, dedicated for wetting out different areas on the mold. So, for example, in your situation, you could have one drum that's only doing the bottom, 20 some inches along that center keel, a completely different drum feeding the sides of the hulls. So it's not like, if one area is bad, then the whole boat is bad. The whole boat could be perfectly fine except for one section. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're running into.
Right.
The main thing that causes blisters and what you're seeing here is under-catalyzed or basically just not fully cured material. And that could be in the gel coat. It could be in the resin that they use for the fiberglass or bowl. So, on the areas that were above the water line, the really shallow ones, that's probably just in the gel coat, and that's not a big deal. It's a cosmetic thing more than anything. But the areas that are below the water line, they can be a little bit more nefarious.
Yeah, if the previous owners or the charter company didn't put much of a barrier coat there, that could also be how water got in, right, or moisture.
Yeah, well, if this was in a fleet or in a charter fleet, there's a better chance than not that the maintenance was bare bones. Right. So, it wouldn't surprise me if a barrier coat was not applied, but, you never know. Basically, kind of going back to what I was talking about, causes of blisters is you got under-catalyzed or uncured material. When it comes into contact with water, there's like a chemical reaction, right? Once those two things mix, the reaction, it creates this like acidic sludge. It starts dissolving the fiberglass, basically.
Yeah.
So, when you're looking at your blisters, it's not so much the diameter, it's how deep that they're running.
What would your recommendation be for something like this? It would make sense to knock all of that glass back and re-glass it, right?
So, what did that area read moisture level compared to like an area that for certain is just absolutely bone dry?
There's still about 15% moisture reading.
I mean, I'm sure you know this, but like bottom paint will throw that meter off. I mean, whatever the meter tells you when you're scanning over bottom paint doesn't mean jack. You can scan over gel coat and that's fine. But the metals that's in bottom paint is going to throw that meter off 100%. The specific number that you get on your moisture meter is really irrelevant. It doesn't matter. You know, it's what that area, because it's going to change from day to day, location to location. You know, there's a few variables that come into play, but it's what that particular area reads in comparison to an area that you know is dry. So like any kind of a vertical surface, so like the sides of the cabin, or even, you know, on the sides of the hull that are up, you know, say midway between the water line and the hull joint, what you're looking to do is establish what that baseline is.
Right.
So if 15 is dry on that boat using that meter, then anything, you know, that's right in that same neighborhood is still going to be dry.
We'll come back to Andy in a second, but while we are talking about moisture meters, I want to show you guys my friend's boat, who is in a much worse position than we are, unfortunately.
Okay, so this is our friend's boat, and it is covered in blisters. This is probably one of those examples where you would want to just let the boat dry out, because it's the entire hull, all the way down the keel and everything, and the fiberglass looks just like it's soaking wet. This is a 40-year-old boat. It hasn't hauled out for 3 years, but the osmosis is really bad. Like, there's not even any point putting the moisture meter on there. It's just completely pegged. I'll try pick a dry spot. There isn't a dry spot. Okay, here looks dry. It's pegged. So he's got two options. Tent this boat up, chuck a dehumidifier in here and just hope that it eventually dries. I don't know how long that would take. Or he has to grind all of this wet fiberglass out. So this is a major operation, this one. So they've just taken back the anti-foul for now, and they got to decide what they want to do. But if it was me, this is probably a situation where you just let it dry out.
Or you could just sink the boat, call it a day.
Or this actually might be one of those situations where you use a gel coat use one of those gel coat planers and just take off. But you don't know how deep this is. You could take off 4 layers of fiberglass until you're down to the dry stuff, and then you've got to re-glass the whole hull. Feel bad for these guys. Ours isn't like this. And where there are sections that are like this, we've just taken all the glass out and chosen not to wait. I use this guy to get back to good glass.
It stinks. The boat stinks.
This is a Rayplex Oasis unit, and it's got wood down the bottom up to 30%, but then on the top it's got the fiberglass scale for you. But yeah, it gives you a nice scale there. Yellow is getting moist and red's wet. This is almost okay here. There is okay.
Okay. In this area, man, look.
See, it's not on the moist. Also with these moisture meters, it's not just black and white, just throw it up against the hull. You have to kind of understand what you're actually looking at with these. I've done a lot of research to be able to confidently sort of use this. If you've got a water hose right behind the hull, or a bit of stainless steel or a bit of steel, it'll pick that up and give you a reading. If you interpret that wrong and start grinding your hull open, you've just wasted time and money. So these aren't foolproof, and we're using it cautiously, and we're always comparing it back to a good dry bit of glass where we know no one's ever touched. There's no screw holes. That's the other way what moisture can get in, is through a screw hole that slowly let moisture into the core, and that's just gotten in there. So everything we've taken out of the boat so far has been wet, like unquestionable, and we've seen water. We don't want to ever have to deal with this again, whether it's us or the next person. So you guys know that we always like to do things properly, and almost too properly. We don't cut any corners, it's just the way we are. So we're not putting glass up anywhere where it's even slightly moist. The boat's dry where we're glassing, and the rest of the boat didn't have blisters, and it's not moist. So when this boat splashes, I'm going to be 100% confident that we've taken care of this problem. This is not a paid promotion, by the way. I don't know who runs this company. The one that they have down there isn't for fiberglass, and they were reading all these weird readings, so that was throwing them off as well. But they're at crazy percent moist on that boat, unfortunately. 40-year-old boat, 40-year-old problems.
Is that your problem?
This is all done from the factory, and I guarantee you, when they pulled that vacuum, they didn't have the resin completely evenly catalyzed. You don't need to take it back down to the balsa. In fact, I'd kind of suggest that you do not. You can come close, but I wouldn't take it back to the balsa. Really, what you need to do is just make sure that, you know, when you're grinding an area, just get rid of that lowest dimple of the blister.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point, then you're good. You can start the rebuilding process.
So you don't need to dry out further than that, right?
Well, again, that, you know, check the meter. If your meter is still reading 15, then no. I mean, you can let it dry out for a couple of days, but you don't need to do an extensive, you know, weeks or anything like that.
Okay, that's good to know. So just take back all the obviously damaged glass and put the meter on it. Make sure we're not sort of getting in the 20s and 30s.
Right. As long as the surface is dry according to the meter, then once you're at that point, you should be perfectly fine and start laying up new material.
The transom used to finish here, so this is all new, and we took it right back to the sail drive, and we just knocked it back to the filler, the fairing material, and it's dry. My opinion would be that this is just ready for a barrier coat straight up. We haven't taken any glass off, and we're back to dry fairing and good glass.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, the way that I'd probably do it is if there's any little, you know, imperfections, do your fairing first using epoxy.
Right.
You know, do any of your fairing. Once the shape is right where you need it, then absolutely do your barrier coats, and then you know, do your bottom paint, and done.
Yeah.
Done and done.
Perfect. That's the strip going down the center of the hull, and the glass does not look very good. It's really white.
Okay.
And it's about 1.5 foot strip down the entire length of the boat. So we're gonna have to knock back a few layers of glass there for sure. And we haven't done any repairs here, so this is during the layup process, like you said, but it doesn't look good.
Is it just like the glass is, you know, kind of dryish looking, or was it like covered with blisters as well?
It's dry looking, and even covered with blisters, but dry looking, and even some little voids in there.
Okay. Was that you that was talking about getting like a gel plate?
Yeah, it's stuck in customs at the moment, but that could be that could be the solution to just knocking this back evenly, eh?
Well, that would make pretty quick work of it. Absolutely. It's easy for it to get away from you. You got a nice wide open area. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
Famous last words there, Andy. No, yeah, you're right. My main concern was like how long to leave it for, and the rest is obvious. Whatever we take off, we got to put back on.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to glass over something that's going to blister again. So just got to make sure we're back to nice dry glass. And
so I mean, you may or may not be able to actually get rid of the layers of glass that still look a little dry. It is what it is. What you want to avoid is taking it down to the balsa.
Yeah.
I mean, if it means having to leave a layer or two of glass that's still kind of borderline dryish, leave it. Because you're gonna be dogpiling on another 5, 6, 7 mils of glass on top of that to rebuild what you had to remove.
Yeah. And it'll be an epoxy as well, so it'll be stronger than the original.
Oh, 100%. So I mean, if you end up having to, you know, take it down real thin, bury it with better materials, and it'll be much better quality than what they kicked out of the factory.
Nice. Okay, Andy, appreciate the advice, mate. I'll send you a couple of photos if we get a bit in above our heads here. Take it easy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good, guys. Take care.
All right, thanks, Andy. Okay, yeah, this is our biggest concern here. This is straight out of the factory again. There's little voids in the glass. Something happened during that vacuum bagging process that isn't good, and that's why there's a strip. But there's no blisters here. Anywhere there's still anti-foul, there's no blisters. So there's these big sections. We're kind of responsible for the sugar scoop ones. We had something not cured or moist in our work that we gel coated and anti-fouled over. So we've knocked that back and we're back to good glass. And then pretty much everything else is factory. So the bottom line is we just got to get back to good dry glass. We're not quite there with this one yet. So we're going to go a bit deeper.
Well, there you go, guys. Maybe you learnt something this episode. I sure did after my chat with Andy. If you're a Patreon, we'll see you on Wednesday night. And for the rest of you, we'll see you same time next Sunday. Cheers, guys.